The first thing that didn't make sense was the boots, placed heel to toe in a perfect straight line pointing directly into the trees. I remember stopping mid-step when I saw them, like my brain needed a second to catch up with what my eyes were telling me. Out here, people lose things, sure. They drop gear, misplace packs, leave trash. But no one lines up their boots like that and just walks off barefoot into dense forest. I was about 6 miles into the north ridge of Black Hollow State Park, doing a routine follow-up on a missing hiker named Daniel Reyes. Mid-30s, experienced, checked in at the ranger station 2 days earlier. Signed the log, noted a 3-day solo loop, nothing unusual. Weather had been clear, trail conditions stable, no reason for him to vanish. His car was still at the trailhead, doors locked, nothing disturbed. We started a standard grid search that morning. I was assigned the east sector, a mix of old logging paths and overgrown deer trails that don't show up on most maps. That's where I found the boots. About 10 feet past them, I spotted his socks. Folded, not tossed, not dropped. Folded neatly like he'd taken them off in a locker room. That's when I radioed it in. Dispatch asked for coordinates. I gave them, and there was this brief pause on the line, like whoever was on the other end didn't quite know what to say. Then they told me to keep moving, stay alert, and document everything. So I did. I pulled out my phone, took photos, marked the GPS point, and kept going in the direction the boots were facing. The ground was soft from recent rain, so I expected to see footprints. I didn't. Not at first. Then about 20 yards in, I noticed something off to my left. A single footprint, deep, bare, like someone had stepped hard into the mud. But it was angled wrong. Not facing forward. It was turned sideways, like he'd stepped out of line just once. I moved closer. There were more prints ahead, but they weren't consistent. Some were deep, some barely visible. And they didn't follow a straight path. They zigzagged slightly, like he'd been correcting his direction over and over. That's when I saw the shirt, hanging from a low branch, about shoulder height. Clean, no tears, no blood, just draped over the branch like someone had placed it there on purpose. I remember thinking, this guy is either in serious distress, or someone is staging something. I called it in again. Dispatch told me another ranger, Cole, was heading my way from the south. I kept moving. The air felt different the deeper I went. Quieter. No birds, no insects, just wind through the trees. About 5 minutes later, I found his backpack, sitting upright against a tree, zipped. I opened it. Everything was inside. Water bottles, half full, energy bars untouched. A map, compass, even his phone, still had battery. No signal, of course, but that's normal out here. What wasn't normal was the notebook, a small field journal. I flipped through it. The first few pages were typical. Trail notes, mileage, weather observations. Then the writing changed. Shorter entries. Messier. One line caught my eye. They moved it again. No context. No explanation. Just that. I radioed it in. Cole checked in. Said he was about 10 minutes out. I told him what I'd found. He didn't say much. Just told me to stay put. But I didn't. I kept going. Something about the way the items were placed. It felt like a trail. Not random, deliberate, like someone wanted it to be followed. About 50 yards past the backpack, I found his watch, placed on a flat rock. Face up, still ticking. I checked the time. It was exactly 2:17. I looked at my own watch. Same time. That's when I heard something. A faint crack, like a branch snapping somewhere ahead. I froze. Listened. Nothing. Then another sound, softer this time, like fabric brushing against bark. I called out, "Daniel, Park Ranger." No response. I moved slower after that, more cautious. The trees were thicker here, underbrush denser. Visibility dropped to maybe 20 feet. That's when I saw the pattern, not just the items, the spacing between them. Boots, socks, shirt, backpack, watch. Each one roughly the same distance apart. About 30 to 40 yards. Like markers. I started to get a bad feeling. Not fear exactly, More like something wasn't adding up. People don't behave this way, even when they're lost, especially not experienced hikers. I reached for my radio again, but it crackled before I could speak. Just static at first, then a voice. Faint, distorted. It sounded like my own voice, saying my call sign, repeating it, over and over. I tried to respond, but the transmission cut out. Dead silence. I checked the battery. Full. Signal should have been fine. I moved a little farther, and found the next item. His belt, coiled neatly on the ground. That's when I stopped. Really stopped. Looked around. Tried to take in the whole scene. And that's when I noticed something I hadn't before. The trees. Some of them had markings. Not carvings, not cuts. Just subtle scrapes. Like bark had been rubbed away. At eye level. And they formed a line. Not perfectly straight, but close. Running parallel to the path of items. I followed that line with my eyes and realized it curved. Slightly. Leading deeper into the forest. Away from any known trail. That's when Cole finally reached me. He came up from behind, asked what I had. I showed him everything. The items, the markings, the journal. He didn't say much, just nodded, took it in. Then he said something that stuck with me. This isn't the first time. I asked what he meant. He just shook his head, said we'd talk later. We continued together after that. Two of us, moving slowly, documenting everything. The pattern continued. Pants, next. Folded. Then his hat, placed on a stump. Each item spaced the same, arranged the same. No signs of struggle, no blood, no disturbance in the surrounding area. Just this sequence. Like someone was undressing him piece by piece and leaving breadcrumbs. Or like he was doing it himself, under some kind of instruction. We reached the end of the pattern about an hour later, or at least what we thought was the end. There was a clearing, small, maybe 20 feet across, and in the center, there was a circle. Not drawn, made, using his belongings. Everything we'd found so far, arranged in a perfect ring. Boots, socks, shirt, pants, belt, hat, backpack, watch. Even the items from inside the pack had been taken out and placed around the circle. Compass pointing inward, phone face down, journal open to that same page. They moved it again, and in the center of the circle, there was nothing. Just bare ground, undisturbed, no footprints, no sign of anyone standing there. Cole and I just stood there for a minute. Neither of us spoke. Then I noticed something else. The circle wasn't random. The items were positioned with precision. North, south, east, west. The compass aligned perfectly, like whoever arranged it knew exactly what they were doing. I felt that same quiet settle in again. No wind, no birds, just us, and that circle. We called it in. Backup was dispatched. We were told to secure the area and wait, so we did. But I couldn't stop looking at the center. Something about it felt wrong, like it wasn't empty, just waiting. When the rest of the team arrived, they processed the scene, took photos, collected everything. Search continued for another 3 days. No sign of Daniel. No tracks leaving the clearing. No evidence of anyone else being there. It was like he just stopped existing at the center of that circle. The case was eventually classified as missing, presumed lost, but no one really believed that. Not after seeing what we saw. A few weeks later, I went back through the logs, just to double-check something. That's when I noticed it. Daniel's sign-out time. It was already filled in. Same handwriting as his sign-in. Same pen. Same date. But the time was listed as 2:17 p.m. The exact time his watch had stopped. The exact time I'd checked it in the field. I asked around. No one had seen him sign out. No one remembered him coming back. And the security camera at the station, it had a gap. About 10 minutes of missing footage. Right around 2:17. I still patrol that area sometimes. Not often, but enough. and every now and then, I think I see something off in the distance. A shape, a movement, just beyond the trees. And once, I swear I saw a pair of boots, lined up, heel to toe, pointing into the woods again. The emergency call came from a ranger tower that hadn't been staffed in 6 years, and it used my supervisor's call sign even though he was standing right next to me. We were finishing a late shift at Pine Ridge National Forest, just after dusk, when the radio cracked alive with a burst of static and a voice that sounded strained but controlled. Unit 12, I have a missing party located near Tower 3. Send one ranger. That was the full message. No distress tone, no repeat, just that. The problem was, Tower 3 had been decommissioned after a lightning strike years back. No power, no radio weak, nothing. And Unit 12 was my supervisor, Harris. He looked at me when the call came through, eyebrows raised, then keyed his mic. Tower 3, this is Unit 12, identify yourself. Silence. Then a faint click, like someone releasing a button. Nothing else. We checked the system logs. The signal had come through on an old frequency we don't even use anymore. Harris told me to grab my gear. We were going to check it out. It wasn't protocol, not exactly, but something about the call didn't set right. If someone had gotten access to that tower, we needed to know. We drove out in the utility truck, headlines cutting through the tree line as the sky went dark. The road up to Tower 3 is barely maintained, overgrown, narrow, with sections where branches scrape both sides of the PEDs. Vehicle. It took us about 20 minutes to reach the base. The tower stood exactly how I remembered it. Leaning slightly, rust along the supports, windows boarded up, no lights, no movement. Just a dead structure in the middle of the woods. We parked and stepped out. The air was still, no wind, no insects. Just that quiet you get when something feels off. Harris told me to circle around while he checked the entrance. I moved along the perimeter, flashlight sweeping across the base. That's when I saw the first item. A flashlight, not ours. Different model, placed upright on a flat rock, turned off. I called out to Harris. He came over, looked at it, then looked at me. That wasn't here before. He was right. We'd both been up here months ago for a survey. That rock had been empty. I picked up the flashlight. It was warm, recently used. Harris told me to leave it and keep moving. We continued around the tower. About 10 feet further, I found a backpack. Leaning against one of the support beams, zipped, no dirt on it, like it had been set down carefully. Harris opened it. Inside were basic hiking supplies, water, snacks, a map of the park. The name tied inside read, L. Carter. That name meant nothing to either of us. We hadn't had any recent missing person reports matching that. Harris radioed it in. Dispatch confirmed, no active cases. No permits issued under that name either. That's when I noticed the spacing. The flashlight and the backpack weren't just randomly placed. They were about the same distance apart, roughly 8 feet. I pointed it out to Harris. He didn't respond right away. Just nodded slightly, like he was already thinking the same thing. We moved toward the tower entrance. The door was still locked with the old chain and padlock, rusted shut. No signs of tampering. But right in front of the door, there was another item. A pair of gloves. Laid flat on the ground, fingers pointing toward the tower. Same spacing. Same careful placement. Harris crouched down, examined them. No dirt, no wear. Like they'd just been taken off. He stood up and looked around. This is staged, he said quietly. I agreed. But staged by who? And why here? We decided to expand the search area slightly, see if there were more items. We moved outward in a slow circle, keeping the tower in sight. About 8 feet from the gloves, we found a jacket. Folded, sleeves tucked in, facing the same direction as the gloves. Toward the tower. That's when the pattern became undeniable. Each item was placed with precision. Same distance. Same orientation, like markers leading to the tower. Or pointing at it. Harris radioed again, requested backup. Dispatch acknowledged, said units were on the way. We kept going. Another 8 feet out, we found boots, side by side, laces tied, toes pointed inward, toward the center, toward the tower. I felt a shift in my chest at that point. Not fear exactly. More like the situation was tightening around us, becoming something we didn't fully understand. Harris must have felt it too, because he told me to stay close. No splitting up. We moved together now, scanning the ground carefully. The next item was a belt, coiled neatly, then a shirt, then pants. Each one placed exactly 8 feet from the last, forming a rough circle around the tower. And every single item pointed inward, like everything was directing attention to that locked door. I checked the radio again. Static. No response from dispatch. Harris tried his unit. Same thing. Dead air. That's when we heard it. A faint sound from inside the tower. A thud. Then another. Like something shifting. We both froze. The door was still locked. No way anyone could be inside. Harris stepped closer, put his ear near the wood. The sound came again. Slower this time. Deliberate. I felt my grip tighten on the flashlight. Harris looked back at me. Eyes narrowed. Someone's in there. But how? The windows were boarded. The door was sealed. No other access points. We didn't have bolt cutters with us. No way to open it quickly. Harris tried calling out, "Park Ranger, identify yourself." The sound stopped. Complete silence. Then, after a few seconds, we heard something else. A voice. Muffled. Distorted by the wood. It said one word. Outside. Harris and I exchanged a look. That didn't make sense. We were outside. He called back. "We are outside. Where are you?" No response. Just silence again. Then the radio on my shoulder crackled to life. Same voice as before. Same strange tone. "Unit 12, I have a missing party located near Tower 3. Send one ranger." It was the exact same message, word for word. Harris grabbed my radio, checked the frequency. It was still that old, unused channel, the one that shouldn't even be active. That's when I noticed something else. The sickle of items. It wasn't just around the tower. There was a gap. One section where no items had been placed. A clear path leading straight to the door, like an entrance. Or an invitation. Harris saw it too. He didn't say anything, just stared at it for a second. Then he shook his head. "We're not stepping into that." I agreed immediately. Every instinct I had was telling me to stay out of that gap. We backed away slowly, keeping our eyes on the tower. The air felt heavier now, like pressure building. Then the thud came again. Louder this time, from inside, followed by a dragging sound, like something being pulled across the floor. Harris grabbed my arm. "We're leaving, now." We turned and moved back toward the truck. Fast, but controlled. I didn't look back at first. I didn't want to, but when we reached the edge of the floor, clearing, I glanced over my shoulder, and I swear the arrangement had changed. The gap in the circle, it wasn't facing us anymore. It had shifted, rotated slightly. Now it was pointing in a different direction, like the entire pattern had moved. We got in the truck and drove. Neither of us spoke until we hit the main road. That's when the radio came back. Dispatch calling in, asking for status, like nothing had happened. Harris responded, gave a brief report. They told us backup had arrived at the tower and found nothing. No items, no disturbance. Just the old structure, locked and empty. We went back the next morning with a full team. Daylight made everything look normal again. No gear, no footprints. No signs of anything being there the night before. Even the ground looked undisturbed, like it had never been touched. We filed the report anyway, logged everything we saw. It got marked as unconfirmed activity. No follow-up, no investigation. Just filed away. A week later, I checked the old frequency logs. Just out of curiosity, there was a single transmission recorded that night. Time stamped at 9:42 p.m. That was when we first heard the call. The sender ID was listed as Unit 12. Harris's call sign. But the location tag didn't match Tower 3. It matched the ranger station. Inside the building, at the exact time we were both already miles away. I asked Harris about it. Didn't have an answer. Just told me to drop it. Said some things in this job don't line up clean. But here's the part that still bothers me. Every now and then, when I'm on late shift, I'll hear a faint click on the radio. Like someone keying the mic. No voice, just that sound. And once, just once, I heard that same message again. Send one ranger. But this time, it came through on our current frequency, clear as day, and it used my call sign instead.